I'm scared, but I also know I can't say no. Like, and God is that obvious with you, you gotta say yes. Why me? Like, this is such an amazing opportunity. Like, why of everyone there being called to be everything online, I think is unrealistic and honestly unhealthy. Never once in my life have I been able to predict where we're
Hi, I'm Liv
Hi.
Harrison, and I'm here with Mackenzie Hunter. And Mackenzie, you are our first guest in the living room.
So exciting. I'm honored. It's like a huge honor.
I wish you were here with me right now. That would be so fun because then I would like get you a beverage. If
Yeah.
we were hanging out in a living room together, what beverage would you have?
You know, a
What could I
coffee.
offer
It
you?
depends on what the, vibes are. I'm currently drinking bad hotel coffee. I'd probably have something a little better than that. I love a hazelnut latte.
Sure,
I
we'll
have
just
those
get
a
that
lot.
for
If
you.
I go, yeah, I get those at coffee shops sometimes, but otherwise a black coffee I like. Are you a coffee
You like,
drinker?
I'm a huge coffee drinker. I'm not a
Okay.
hazelnut kind of a gal,
Okay.
but I appreciate that you are. I want to drink black coffee because I know that it's supposed to be better for myself. Is there anything that you do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like doing it, but I should. Like
Yeah,
black
I feel
coffee.
like I just increasingly liked the taste of coffee more over the years. I remember the first coffee drink I ever had was a mocha, and that's because that's mostly hot chocolate. And at my
Yeah.
college, they would give it was Mocha Monday, and they'd give away 100 free mochas at the start on Monday. So I was like, "Oh, sure." And I feel like just progressively, my drinks got less and less sweet over the course of like 4 or 5 years. I don't actually remember if there was like I think I just started doing it at some point. I used to drink it with a little creamer in it, and then I just probably didn't buy it one week, and I was like, "Man, it's fine."
So, when did you step back and say, and now I must label myself a caffeinated Catholic? Like,
How
when
did
did
we
it
get
become,
here?
when did it become like you need to name it? It is
Yeah.
so
And it
much.
was enough of a problem. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
It's actually
Exactly.
funny. I have had that title since 2019, which 2018, which would have been literally like my freshman, sophomore year of college, which I didn't drink that much coffee then. So I'm actually not quite sure. I was kind of on the mocha kick back then.
That's so
So I
funny.
think it just was a kind of had a good ring to it.
It does have a
I
good
don't,
ring to it. But I do
yeah.
feel like I feel like you're not thinking big enough, Mackenzie. I think you could
Yeah.
really, you need to reach out to Coca-Cola and to other caffeine companies and be like,
I
"I'm your
should.
girl." Like, you need
Here
to
I
start getting some
am.
sponsorships.
Yeah. That's I've done few coffee ones over the years, but yeah, no, it just had a good ring to it. God knew the plans that I would be addicted to coffee once.
I love that.
To caffeine at the time, I had no idea.
Speaking of God's plans, you just totally did a shift in your life.
Mhm.
You shifted majorly, and I'm assuming that that is both a professional shift, obviously professional, but also a personal shift. What was the
Mhm.
scariest thing about saying, "And I'm gonna do it"?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Well, for context for everybody, I had been working in advertising for about 5 years, and I always knew I probably wanted to get back into the Catholic space in one way or another. That was always my original intent, is that I really felt passionate about the Catholic Church needs better communications and media and things of that sort. Um, but then when I went to go get a job out of college, I just felt like the things that I was capable of doing at that time weren't really the level of like what I was interested in. I felt like I need to go get trained somewhere first. So did that advertising, and I loved it. But this past year, I started to kind of have in my head a bit of like, okay, I'm not quite as fulfilled with this right now. I feel like I want to do something that's a little more in line with who I am, but I don't know what that's going to look like. Um, and so then I met Edmundo, who introduced me to Digital Continent and ended up taking I had the opportunity to work on Seeking Beauty season 2. And from there, it was like, okay, this is so clearly God putting an opportunity in front of me. And I kind of just had to put the other pieces together of like, so what do I need to do in order to make this jump? And so now I've started doing some freelance work with digital strategy with Catholic companies. And yeah, it just, for me, taking that shift, it was scary. I've always had a 9 to 5. It's very secure. Like it's you show up and you are a part of this operation that someone else is running. And now all of a sudden it was like, I have to go out and make this for myself. I have to put the pieces together. Um, and so just trusting that if God was so clearly putting an opportunity in front of me, that's like, okay, he's gonna make this work. It was scary, but it also was one of those things that was like, I'm scared, but I also know I can't say no. Like, and God is that obvious with you, you gotta say yes.
Do you think the fear will ever go away, or do you think it's kind of here to stay, but you just learn to deal with it? Or are you a person that, no, when I face something, the fear disappears? Because I'm a person who I think I constantly live in fear. Like I constantly have it with me, but I just learned how to deal with it. You know what I mean? But I know
Sure.
people who are like, no, I don't have any fear. Like I'm
Yeah.
fearless.
It's a good question. I feel like a lot of times in my life when I've taken bigger leaps, yeah, I do get a little more used to it. But this time does feel a little different that like there's so much space to, again, back to like at a 9 to 5, you say yes once to this job and then you kind of show up day to day. With this kind of like more freelancing style work, it's like, no, you constantly have to be trusting God that new work is going to come in and things like that. I had someone tell me that when I had first made this jump back in December, he said like, it was something along those lines of like freelance work is the best way to best practice in trusting God because it's like you have to rely on him more instead of just one yes. It's kind of a constant yes. So I won't be surprised if I feel a little scared about it for a little bit longer than most of
No,
the
that makes
other
sense.
things
Well,
in
and
my life.
it's kind of like in God is your one colleague, like
Yeah.
the one guy you get to talk to at the water.
Yeah.
What do they say? Like what nobody says anymore. Nobody
The
has
yeah, no,
the
like the
water
drinking
jug or
fountain.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day,
You're at the
back in the day when we had to have
no.
water in a container, which and people would talk around it. So yeah, your work wife or your work husband is God. So that's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Your work
So I'll
spouse,
take
I
that.
guess, would be the way
Yeah.
to say it. Yeah. So how do you you know what? Actually that's an interesting thought. If God is your work spouse, how do you get around that when you need to vent and he's also your
Yeah.
boss?
That's such a good point. It's probably good. It's probably good for my prayer life. I probably should be going to God more for these things generally.
You're like, listen, you
You
really
vent to
annoyed me
him.
the other day
Yeah.
and you wanted me to do this thing.
I
So
really
get it
wanted that
together.
job and you didn't give it to me. So I'm kind of mad at you right now, but
But we're gonna make it. If you could just bring some cupcakes next time for my
yeah,
birthday. I'm
exactly.
thinking of The Office. Okay, so
Yeah.
here you are. You're doing Seeking Beauty, which is a new amazing series on EWTN.
Mhm.
And the second season was filmed in Spain. Is
Spain.
that
Yep.
correct?
Yes, correct.
So bring me with you. You're 12 years old and you get this free trip to Spain and they expect you to work. So you're going to have to produce something.
Yeah.
When do you look around and say, I'm sorry, what? Like, how is this my
The whole
life?
time, the entire time. Never once did I not do that. I think it's funny. The people who I was there working with, they've been doing this for years. And I was just always like, you guys, do you realize how cool this is? It's like always kind of in awe of it. No, I just would always look around. I mean, there is some sort of like you get into the rhythm of the days, but we are always, it's a travel show for those who don't know. So we traveled all around Spain and every few days we were moving. So there was always something new to like marvel at and be like, how am I here right now? Yeah, it's just really incredible. And I just think about if you would have told me, like, I mean, if you had told me 6 months prior, but like also just, I think back 5 years, 10 years of just like, this is
Sure.
what I would have loved to have been doing for a long time. And now I'm here doing it.
And
It's
you're
like
doing it.
life. Yeah. No,
Do
it's
you
been amazing.
ever feel like you are not the right person for the job? Like they're going to tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, we were kidding. The person we hired is Malinzi
Ooh, wrong
Munter.
email.
A Mackenzie Hunter came and we don't know why she's here. You know what I
Typo
mean?
in the email.
Right, exactly.
Me-
Spelling's
There's
hard.
always some imposter syndrome. And also just like, why me? Like, this is such an amazing opportunity. Like, why of everyone there, a lot of people could do this. Why is it me who's here? And I think with all these things, especially the past year, kind of like recent, I've just like kind of started to learn to trust God that like, I don't know why, but for some reason you wanted me here.
But he
um,
does.
but he does. And it's like, I don't know why me as to the next person, but that's not really my thing to
No,
question at this point. So
not your problem.
yeah, but
That's your
no,
work spouse's
totally.
problem.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it is just, and I worked with so many talented people who like have, like I said, been in the industry forever. So I'm kind of like, I just have an iPhone and I'm doing the behind the scenes stuff. But I was like, I feel like you guys know what you're doing. I'm just over here. But
So
yeah.
what is something in what you do, right? It looks like I'm sure people all the time are like, "Oh, Mackenzie, you get to just fly around the world and you take out your
Yeah.
phone and you get paid bazillions of dollars." And you're like, It's not quite like that." What is
Yeah.
something that most people get wrong about what you do
That's
that they
interesting.
assume that they're assuming incorrectly?
Yeah. Well, this one's like very niche and specific, but since I've recently made this jump, I also have my Instagram, Caffeinated Catholic. And a lot of people are thinking I'm like doing full time influencing. Well, I'm
Sure.
having trouble communicating that of like, because I'm saying like I'm going on my own to work now. And people really took that as like I'm doing full time at Caffeinated Catholic. And I'm like, you guys, if you think I'm not good at Instagram, I'm honored, but there is no way. There's no way I could be paying the bills with just this. So, um, it's a lot of other work. I mean, like, if you're going to go this route, it's a lot of little things, little jobs you take on and things like that. Um, and it ends up being, I mean, what they say is true. I feel like I'm not an expert at all this yet, so I feel funny talking about it because I'm so new.
You are. You're an
But
expert. You're doing
mm,
fantastic. You're a professional. Say that.
yeah,
Because if you're
sure.
getting
Yeah.
paid for it, you're a professional. So you can
Yeah.
always say, "I'm a professional at this."
I'm a professional at this. But everyone says the classic, like, instead of working 9 to 5, you work 24/7. And it's like, it's not that I'm working all the time, but my brain's always kind of thinking about it now. And so I think that's a shift of like, it's not like I'm just flying around doing fun things. It's like, okay, what's the next job I'm gonna take on? What's the I have so many little projects that I have to keep straight and everything. And it's interesting. So the Caffeine Catholic is a small window of it, but it's a lot of other small stuff that pay the bills.
But that's the window that people see. So they assume
I'm like
that
some
this is
fancy
you. This is what you
influencer.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and
All the
it's just
time.
not the truth.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Less
Yeah,
fancy than it looks.
that makes sense. What is
Yeah.
the being an influencer though? What is the best part? What is the most surprising part about
Mm,
being an influencer that is a good?
such a good question. Best part, I mean, the best part is all these opportunities I've had come from it, which I just never could have dreamed up 7 years ago. I started it, my Caffeine Catholic page started as a website blog, and I just liked writing. Like, I just was writing online, and then eventually took it to Instagram because on my personal page, I was saying like, "Oh, go read this at the link in my bio," and a couple people started following me for it. So I was like, "Okay, maybe I should separate these." Um, and so just like I didn't go into it with the thought that I would like be an influencer or anything like that. It kind of just like naturally progressed over the years. Um, and so now it's just like so amazing all these opportunities it brought me that I just couldn't have imagined back then. And the people it's connected me with and the opportunities and yeah, get to go to these fun events and meet new people and things like that. And also there's so much good Catholic media going around in recent years that like being able to get connected to the people who are creating it has been
Yeah.
just like amazing. These people are so good at what they do and that's what I'm so passionate about. So this little side thing I didn't expect to be the avenue to like connect me to that. Um but yeah, it's just fun. I just like creating content as well. It's always been a
Yeah.
fun outlet for me when I was in the 9 to 5 world, especially, like, I didn't get to do that as much during the day, so having that on the side was always a good creative outlet, I'd say.
No, I think it's great. I think, I look and I think it's so easy to look at Instagram, right? Or any social
Mhm.
media platform, but especially Instagram. And it's easy to look and see all the things that seem that are going right or perfect or shiny and new. Even when you're vulnerable and real, it still
Mhm.
seems amazing. You know what I mean? You're like, okay,
Yeah.
but you're being vulnerable and real in Spain, Mackenzie.
I
You know
know.
what I mean?
You're yeah.
You know, in a
It's so
hotel.
true.
Like, I mean, for
Yeah.
the love of everything, I'm in Iowa folding my laundry. So I'm watching you on the screen. I'm not in Iowa, but um, so what is something that you have as a hot take about your industry, about
Hmm.
influencing that you're like, you know, we're in the living room now. We're gonna put a little something in our coffee and we're gonna get real.
We're gonna
What is
amp it up.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little Irish coffee. What is something that you're like, yeah, here's an ugly. Here's something that or here's something that drives me nuts.
Yeah. One comes to mind immediately. And it's the culture of we're never gonna get it 100% right. No one's ever gonna have 100% of a look into what my life looks like, what I'm struggling with, what's really great, everything else. And if they did, they probably shouldn't. Like it shouldn't all be online. There's some level of boundaries there. And because of that, I think there needs to be a little bit of media literacy sometimes of like if an influencer isn't speaking about something, like it's not always the full story. And I think it's just, we can get too critical of people who are online. I mean, I can even do it with other people who are online of just like, they're living this way and I don't see whatever. Like if we get too critical, it's being so aware that you're seeing it through this one window and there's so much story behind it. I guess that's true for everything in life, anyone you encounter. But even less so online, like we just don't know the whole story and they aren't obliged to be telling us the whole story either. So then when it's like this influencer isn't speaking on this, they aren't doing this and this, it's, being called to the everything online, I think, is unrealistic and honestly unhealthy. You can be authentic to an extent, but I think there are some boundaries needed there online. And so it's a weird thing I have to navigate of like wanting to be authentic, but also not wanting to put certain things out about myself online either. And so it's like, okay, how can I be authentic? And, obviously this looks great. I'm going to Spain and I'm traveling. I'm doing this and that. But I don't really want to show the hard things, but I want people to know the hard things are there. So kind of trying to figure out how to communicate that is interesting.
Yeah, that would seem hard. How does that seep into your personal life with friends, with
Hmm.
dating, with, how do you go from being public
Yeah.
and wearing that hat to, yeah, meeting a guy for coffee or hanging out
Yeah.
with a group of girlfriends?
One time I was on a second Hinge date and he had seen my posts. I'm like, oh my God. And you're a man, get out of here. So it's definitely weird, especially now that it's started to get more integrated into my professional life because I've been granted all these opportunities professionally through Caffeinated Catholic, but it started with me just like holding my phone up and saying random stuff to the camera. And it wasn't meant to be a professional affair, but it's like, okay, now how do I balance this of like what I talk about and things like that? I mean, I'm not like a big star. I don't think it affects my day-to-day life, like when I go out town, it's all normal. Um, but there are certain things of just like, okay, constantly being aware of like what content I'm putting out. And I think the more I've grown as well, it's like, okay, this is going to reach people beyond my target audience. So like, I kind of have to accept that it's like, if I'm talking about something for the girls in their 20s, like men might see it, professional colleagues might see it. My mom's friends will probably see it. And so it's interesting and it's hard to balance that a bit of not shielding what I say because I know it's reaching more people, like I'm going to keep talking to my target audience and know that there might be some people in the peripheral, but that's okay as long as I'm sure of what I'm saying. But yeah, I think that's been interesting. Or like encountering those sort of people in real life who aren't my target audience.
Who
And
are
I'm
your
like,
target
eh.
audience? Did you get a
Yeah.
third date out of the Hinge?
I believe this was a while back, so it clearly didn't amount to much. Leave no. I'm like, but I think it was my call.
That's
I
hilarious.
was like, he's seen me. No, I can't see him again.
No, I can't do it.
No, I'm
How
kidding.
is it out there, dating in the world and navigating that as a woman in 20, where we are in this time
Yeah.
period? Is it as
Oh,
ugly
it's
as they
crazy out
say?
here. It's crazy out here. Um, yeah, that's a great question. I'm very blessed to have good Catholic community where I live. So I think that helps exponentially that like it's good Catholic men who I go out with, which I know that's not the case. I don't know if I can speak on like a broader level because I think many women do not have that. Um, yeah, it's such a good question. It just, yeah, I'm not even that, I'm 26. I'm not even that old, but
No,
most of my friends are like married by now. And so it's that funny point of like, okay, gotta keep, gotta keep going out there and going on these dates, even when you're like, no, I don't. It's like, if you're going to find someone, you gotta keep going.
it's
Gotta
true.
keep doing it. So it's, I would say for me personally, in my bubble, it's not as bad as people say, but I know that I'm very blessed on that front.
That's good.
Um,
It's kind of
yeah,
like
it's
content creation. Like you got to keep putting it out there
yeah.
if you want to,
Oh my goodness.
finally make it make it happen.
Yeah,
You
it is
can't
both
just sit
fun
and
and exhausting. Like, it's fun to have stories for my married friends. I'm like, "Sit down. You guys aren't ready for this." I have several who are, like, particularly more invested than others, and I'm like, tell it in the most dramatic fashion of what's going on in my life.
I
On the
love
other
that.
hand, then when it actually comes to time going on, like, a first date, I'm like, "No, I don't wanna be doing this." So, it's dreadful and exciting.
So what do your married friends get wrong about being single? What do
Hmm.
they assume and think, cuz they're married and they're often this thing and do they have any assumptions about what your life looks like because you are single?
Yeah, I think I'm lucky to have some good people in my life. I know a lot of people struggle with this of like, kind of feeling like their married friends look down on them or they're like, just get out there. I personally haven't encountered that as much, but I just know I'm surrounded by good community as well. Um, I think if anything, it's hard when there's a little bit of the culture around married couples of like they do couples things, like they're all spending a lot of time together and don't invite the single people as much. And it's like, oh, I can hang out too. I can hang. Um, but yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think. They're always giving me input on my dating life, and sometimes for particular situations, I'm like, no, go.
You're like, "No, thank you very much."
No, I'm living it, and I know that is wrong.
I love that.
But yeah,
So what
well,
about you are in a really interesting space where you're a creator, you're a freelancer, entrepreneur, you're
mhm.
young, but you're also a female. Do you find that at
Mm,
all like a problem and where in the spaces that you walk into? Is it a male dominated space? Are you one of the only female is it all women? What has
yeah,
your experience been?
it's interesting. I feel like it depends on what room I'm walking into, I think the content creator space, at least the circles I run in, are primarily women. And I think women kind of have it's interesting. I've heard things about that of like how social media kind of opened up a whole new thing for women because it um it is a lot of female dominated space, not exclusively, but there are a lot of females in the space. Um and like people this is like beyond me, but like there are people out there who are making a lot of money from it now and things like that. And it's kind of giving women this new like route of like, oh, all of a sudden there's like this dynamic shift in the world of women are getting these, like, really well-paying jobs if you have, like, success with social media. Um, I personally haven't I feel like I fit into the mix there, like, when I scroll my timeline and it's, like, a bunch of young Catholic girls, I'm like, "Yeah, I don't feel like I stand out too much there."
Oh
Like,
my god, that's good.
yeah, it's
So you
good,
have
a
a
good community
community.
there. Yeah. I
It's not super lonely of where you're at.
Yes, I would say so, and I've been so that's one of my favorite things about social media that's brought me in recent years is, like, I've gotten to if I go to these events, I connect with all these wonderful people, um, and we've gotten to, like I have, like, a few group chats and things where people, like, run ideas past each other and things like that, and to be able to have that community is great, like, otherwise, you kinda work in a silo because it's, like, I don't have a lot of other, like, in my hometown, I don't have other content creators I, like, hang out with or anything, and so getting to connect with these people at events and run things by them and what do you think about this is so helpful. On the other side, I think like in work things, maybe a little bit, especially being a young woman, like trying to, it's easy to be so nice and warm. And like, I think as women, we kind of lean that way of like, ah. Come here, let me give you a hug. And um being able to like be myself and also, be assertive and be able to like make a name for yourself in a more business side of things. I think that's an interesting balance. Yeah, I think it can be a mix of men and women in that space, but there are certain rooms I walk into that's definitely male dominated and, you know, older than me and things like that. And it's like, who is this child here trying to say
No, it's
something?
good. It's
So
great.
yeah.
Yeah, stay as young as long as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
But
have.
a little bit more the sense of trying to prove yourself, I think. Like, I think I feel like I have
Yeah,
to prove myself sometimes.
absolutely. Like, no, I
Yeah.
belong at this table. I belong in this room. And that's gotta be hard to be, you do kind of as an entrepreneur, you have to be your own cheerleader. You have to
Mhm.
constantly be like the coach and have a come to Jesus with yourself and like pump
Yeah.
yourself up and get yourself out there all the time. And that is, you do have to wear a lot of hats for sure.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
were to go back to before this time period, doing what you're doing now, if there was a class, a workshop, a book, what would
Mm.
be something that you would tell past self? "Hey,
Yeah.
take this, read this, do this. That would
That's
help today."
interesting. Yeah. I feel like especially since I've gone the more freelancing route, I'm realizing how much I need to learn about like the business side of things because it's like I was trained in like strategic communications and the Catholic media world and things like that. Um But once you go solo, it's like, okay, there's a lot that like whether you want to or not, you become a little bit of your own business and just like setting things up like that. So I think it would have been good to be a little more trained in that front, but we're playing catch up. Mm,
You're
but
doing
yeah.
great. You're
Oh,
26,
thanks.
Mackenzie. You're crushing. You're by the time you're
Thanks.
36, you're gonna be out of the I mean, come on. I can't even
Hopefully, we'll
imagine then.
see. Yeah.
Imagine the next 10 years. Where do you see if you were to pretend this is like when I was little back in the day, back in the 1800s, we used to have time capsules, and that was a big deal. We would all fill up this time capsule and then go bury it. I'm sure people
Hmm.
don't do that. We used to have yards and you would go outside and touch grass and you would
Yeah.
dig up grass. I'm being funny.
Haven't done that in
Oh,
years.
have you done that? So if you were to put a time capsule together right now, what would you imagine? Sky's the limit. Where would you be in the at your 36? What would that look like?
Wow, that's a great question. Maybe I should do a time capsule. Go
Maybe
in my
so.
backyard and
Go
start digging.
dig.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go outside, get in the grass.
Yeah. I feel like I think back to the past 10 years, and I'm like, I couldn't have even I'm not too much of a I'm a goal-oriented person, but not like far setting goals because I feel like it's just like never once in my life have I been able to predict where we're headed.
Mm.
I think back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago, I could have never even known this was the path I was gonna go down. So I feel very open to wherever God takes me, but I would love to just continue down this route. Like I feel very aware that whatever's to come, I probably can't even think of right now. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like these opportunities that come up and things that come up, especially in the Catholic media world, I think things are really progressing. So it's like I feel like there are gonna be so many cool opportunities that come up in the future, and I would love to just continue down this route. Um, it's so funny. It makes me think of so when I was working at the advertising agencies, whenever there'd be like a 5-year plan question or whatever, um, in the back of my head, I was always like, I'll probably go back to the Catholic world at some point. But I was like, but you can't say that in an interview with an ad agency. That's not Catholic. And so this is the first time I've thought through this question. I've been like, oh, actually, I'm kind of on the path that I was in the back of my head, always thought I'd get back to it at some point. So we're on that 5-year plan now, finally.
And
Um,
you're making it, and
but
it sounds like you'll stay in the Catholic space so
yeah,
far,
I think so. Unless something goes awry, I love it here. It's just, it marries everything that I'm passionate about with the things I'm good at, you know? And so I was working on those skills for the past 5 years of getting good at strategy and logistics and all this stuff and advertising. And now it's like, okay, I'm so passionate about the Catholic faith and how do we get this to a wider audience? And so it's like, I don't see any reason I would go back to
Right,
promoting things that I don't care about.
right. And why do you think
Yeah.
we've had this explosion? in the Catholic space, in the Catholic media space? Because you brought it
Yeah.
up that you're seeing this blossoming happen
Hmm.
in real
Yeah.
time. What do you think it is? Why?
Yeah. It's such a good question. I remember in college, I was writing all these papers. So I double majored with strategic communications and Catholic studies. I was so passionate about where the two intersected. And so for both majors, I was always writing papers about like how the Catholic Church can be better about this and this and that. And I recently was going back and just like reading through some of those. I was like, wow, I really do feel like the space has changed just in like 3 to 5 years. I was like, maybe I just wasn't in the loop back then when I was in college, but, like, I really do feel like there's so much good Catholic media and communications out there in the world now that wasn't there 5 years ago. Um, I think it was just, like, a general the church is always a little bit behind in things, and I think we're finally just catching up. Even just, at the Jubilee of Digital Missionaries this past year I went to in Rome, um they were, like, speaking to, like, the church should be in these digital spaces, and we should be going out there and doing these things, and I was like, "Wow, this feels so long overdue, but I'm so happy we're here," It's like,
Right.
yeah, we should be in the digital space, so I think we're kinda just playing catch up, and there's these people who have been doing great media for years, but they're kinda starting to take their talents more to the Catholic space, and it's just I don't know, I think collectively we've started moving there. I mean, I think the church is having a revival right now as well, especially in the US. So I'm sure that goes hand in hand with
Right.
like the numbers are way up for people converting to Catholicism. And it's like, well, yeah, if you work in that space, you naturally will want to use your talents. A lot of people naturally want to use their talents to promote that kind of thing. So I'm just happy we're playing catch up a bit.
Yeah, no kidding. I like
Yeah.
that. I like thinking that we're coming into our own, and it seems like the right time to be doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
as
Yeah.
much as you're saying that we're catching up, but also, I mean, the whole world is trying to catch up with AI and
Yeah, sure.
all the different technology. It's kind of
Hmm.
it's been quite a little whirlwind for sure.
Yeah.
I would say. So let me ask you this, since you are more plugged in than I am, who should I be watching? Who's up and coming? What show?
Really.
What media outlet? What person? I don't know. Like, give me something that you know what I mean? Like, when your
Yeah.
friends are like, hey, I need a Netflix show to watch. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
listen, no one knows about
Yeah.
this one yet, but it's so good.
Pause here for a sec. Okay. Yeah, it's such a good question. I feel like there is so much out there and it depends on what you're looking for. I don't even know. Seeking beauty?
Good answer. That was a good answer. And Nuno is going to hire you again. That was fantastic. It's just called
Like,
job security, everybody
really?
listening. That's how you keep your day
This is
job.
great. Well, on EWTN Plus, you can stream it across phone. No, I'm kidding. Um,
These are the times.
No, well, I think what's so great is there's things out there for everyone's different interests. So, um, like I honestly don't quite know yet. I feel like
There's nothing
there's a
that's
lot
on
of
your
things
radar that you're just
not
like
quite on my
seeking beauty.
radar.
Seeking
I
beauty.
think I'm
That's your
more
answer.
so
It's a good one.
where I'm seeing where maybe someone else would say that. I feel like we're kind of on the precipice of it, of like a lot of good Catholic TV shows and podcasts and things are going to kind of start to have a resurgence, but I feel like not everything is like out yet. I feel like I just keep hearing about things that are like about to be released. So actually, now that you're saying that, I don't consume a ton of this stuff currently, a couple podcasts and things like that, but I feel like we're going to start to get more of that. It was kinda on the more, like I was seeing a lot in, like, socials or campaigns or things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but, like, in the bigger space of, like, media that you'd, like, throw on your TV, I feel like we're on the precipice of that more so.
Is
Interesting.
there anything that you'd like to see come up? Like,
Mm.
have you thought of like, God, why don't we have a show on this? Or why don't
Hmm.
we have somebody talking about this? Or this is a whole in Catholic media that we're doing all these other things. We're focusing over here, but somebody needs to plug in right here. Is there anything that you've seen or that you wish would step up?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I gotta, like, think about it a little bit. I feel like I do better in this space. I'm never the one, like, coming up with the ideas from scratch. I'm really good at supporting ideas. So I'm
Okay.
like, this is a part of my brain that I'm like, "Okay, I don't work
Okay.
just as
You're
much,"
good
but
at
I'm sure if I
supporting.
thought about it, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing a lot going on. Like, really, nothing
We're
is a
doing
major
good.
direction of like, yeah, I think we're in a good place with like
Great.
things are moving on a lot of fronts. Like, all the things my brain goes to is like, no, it's kind of already being done.
A plus to the
Yeah.
Catholics.
Great work, everybody. We can retire now.
So what
If anybody wants me to support their ideas.
yes, anybody who needs support, Mackenzie's your girl. She's the one
Yeah.
that's she'll plug you. So let me ask you, what are you personally, what project do you have? What's coming up for you that you were just jazzed about, even if you're not supposed to share it? This
Yeah.
is a safe space.
That's so
It's
funny.
just you and me. No one can hear it. That's how podcasts work.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's something that's coming up for you that you're like, okay, I'm excited about this project?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like the Seeking Beauty stuff is always like that's been the most fun stuff I've worked on. Like how fun to work on a TV show. So that stuff is always moving and things like that. So I love doing that work. Um, then just more like on a personal side, I've started working. I'm in the initial phases of working with a few new, just like local Catholic companies, a pregnancy resource center, things like that. That I have so much fun. Just like from a it works my brain in a fun way to help them expand their audiences and, like, utilize their digital spaces better. It's to be able to identify, like, okay, here is a huge gap, and you could be reaching so many more people through this is so exciting for me. So, it's not as, like, big and flashy, but being able to, like, work with these local companies that I like, personally just, like, care about their mission and being like, "Okay, there's this whole target audience here that you haven't tapped into, and, like, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you reach that." Um, and a lot of that is through, like, social media or different digital spaces. Like, that work is just so energizing to me that it's like, "Ah, you have a good thing here. Let me get it to more people," you know? So, I've been excited starting to, like, have some initial conversations with new companies and things like that of like, okay, there's a lot of potential here that we could tap into.
I love that you came alive
Yeah.
when you were talking
Mhm.
about it. Like,
Yeah.
you could tell that that's a passion. I mean, obviously, cool projects like Seeking Beauty
Mhm.
are cool projects,
Yeah.
but something that, ignites you and gives you passion and that you're excited
Yes.
to put your gifts and talents in another way that's helping your fellow
Totally.
man, is
Yeah.
just really beautiful. So
Yeah.
that
Which I
is
feel like that's been
exciting.
a journey the past year to figure out like I knew what I was good at in the advertising space, but it's like, okay, what part of this like energizes me and like I knew I wanted to go back, but I didn't know exactly like what that would look like. And now kind of figuring this out of like, okay, I want to help these Catholic or mission driven, Catholic doesn't necessarily have to be mission driven, I'd say, companies expand their reach to people who they might have had these blind spots. Like, I'm like, okay, this is so exciting that I found something that it's like, yes, I have the training for this and I can do this and I am excited about it, you know? Like, I think that's such a big unlock for me personally.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So you really have, Mackenzie, like, it's been so cool to watch you online in real time, bring the audience with you as you're shifting into this
Yeah.
new space, which I know everybody
Yeah.
thinks is a caffeinated Catholic, but this new space of you being a freelance creator, is that
Mhm.
the right
Yeah.
term?
Yeah. I've been saying, I mean, it depends because there is stuff I'm doing on the creative creator side, but then my business side, sorry, ACC Digital Strategy is
Oh,
helping these Catholic companies with their
gotcha.
digital
Okay.
strategy. So
So
a
that's a
little bit
little
of
bit
both.
more, yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you for that.
a little bit
So
more.
if you're doing all of this, it's a lot of change, personal, professional, it's
Mhm.
scary. We got it. We understand. What are you not what are you not thinking of at this point that you still have a little bit of fear connected to somewhere, even if it's in your personal life? Does it have
Hmm.
to be because you're doing this big thing?
Hmm.
You're doing this big
Yeah.
change, this big shift. Is there any fear left, like residue someplace else in the
Yeah.
background?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like it's yeah, fear. I don't know if fear is the right word, but kind of just like feeling the need to figure out my new routine and, like, I still feel like I'm a few months into this and I don't quite know exactly what this life looks like still quite, yet, and so I feel like it's like I have to be disciplined to like structure my days and I have to, go out and get this new business now and do all these things. It's like I'm still getting the hang of that. And it's like, okay, I need to not be, working late at night every night. Like, how can I structure my day? And so it's just kind of like, okay, I feel like doing this new venture in a way that's sustainable is still something I have to figure out. I don't know if fear is the right word, but it's like, okay, a little hesitancy of like, I did well with the, 9 to 5 structure. So like, okay, I want to do this, but it's like, what does this look like for me?
Sure.
Um, it's just maybe a space I'm less confident in. But
Are
yeah.
you
Mm, mm,
are you
I was just
afraid to I sorry to interrupt, but I was
yeah.
thinking when you said that, when you said less confident, are you afraid ever for burnout? It's
Mm,
like here you are doing these and yes, you're young, but you're still a human being.
mhm.
Do you have any fear around burning out or what do you do for yourself,
Yeah,
right? To like not
for sure.
burn
Yeah.
out as you were saying those late nights and
Yeah.
all of that.
I think it's interesting. I've never had my phone be such a part of my job before, which is so silly. But personally, for me, that burns me out to be like on my phone a lot during the day. I don't know what it is. It's different than like, I mean, I think about, I guess I was in an office space before and I was going and doing meetings with people and I was running around and staring at a laptop or staring at a phone. Like that personally just like mentally burns me out. I could be working all day long around people, and that's one thing, but then if it's like if I'm working all day staring at a phone, like, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." So I'm trying to have boundaries around that because I've been very aware that that's the source of the burnout. There's this thing called a brick. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a physical little thing that you tap your phone to, and it can, like, lock you out of whatever you want it to lock you out of, so I've been more regimented about doing that or trying to at least, of, like, if I can, that's why I have to, like, get the work done during the day then, but then, like, if I can, like, tapping in my phone to this brick and, like, not going on social media for the evening or even just, like, if there's something during the day that I don't need to be on it, like, locking myself out because I think personally for me, that's just, like, it's so draining to stare at a phone all day, and then I'm posting on social media as part of my job and you're like consuming all this content at the same time then while I'm also working. Like it's a weird dynamic. And so that's something I'm trying to figure out of like, okay, what do boundaries here look like?
Yeah, no, that seems like that would be really, really important.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I love to do with my audience is ask all the time. I ask people, how can I pray for you? Because I've been a blessed person in the fact that I get a lot of struggle.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of just personally gone through a lot of things. And here's the thing. Life happens, right? Struggle happens. You're
Hmm.
going to have to go through something. Might as well bring people along with you in a positive way and
Hmm.
say, look, I'm going through something. How can I pray for you? How can I pray with you? So, as
Hmm.
we're closing off our time here at the living room, we're hanging out. What is something that we can do for you, Mackenzie? How can we pray and support you as you continue on your journey?
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that you do that. I think just for everything we've been talking about, I think just continuing to trust in the Lord that He will provide on this new journey of mine, and that I'll continue to listen to his voice and take the next right step.
Which is what we should all be doing.
Yeah.
Everybody, if
Yeah.
you're going with the will of God, you're not gonna go wrong.
It's so true. But,
No,
sometimes
it
it's
is.
hard to say yes and to listen to his will.
It's true, and I think one thing that we're learning, and everything that the work that we're doing here is that to live fearlessly, to let go of fear, because what
Hmm.
the fear is actually doing is it's blocking the voice of God.
Hmm.
So, may you hear the voice of God, friend, and,
Yeah.
wonderful journeys for what you're doing. We're just so proud of you and love watching everything that you're doing. Mackenzie, thank you so much for
Thank
hanging
you
out
so
with me
much.
today. I
Great
appreciate it.
conversation. Love chatting with you.
Awesome. We'll do it
Thanks for
again. We'll have
having
to
me.
do it in real life sometime, and I'll
Yeah.
buy you a
Yeah,
coffee.
seriously. There you go.